What's up, everybody? If you want to join the greatest online Star Wars community, the Fandom Menace, make sure you hit that subscribe button before today's video starts, so you don't miss out on any updates and you're always the first to know when our newest videos go live.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
The future. A nightmarish hellscape. The world has fallen into madness, accelerated by the constant need to virtue signal. As film properties decline in popularity, desperate Hollywood execs, fueled by greed and cocaine, dig up old franchises in an attempt to cash in on nostalgia and brand recognition. Unbeknownst to them, the key to success is out of their grasp, because in trying to win the biggest audience possible, they alienate the fanbase that makes it a chore to support the brand. This is 2019. The future is now, and this is the dark fate of Terminator. It may seem a little cliche to say that something is the next Ghostbusters 2016, but if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, well, you know the rest. The reason this comparison is apt is because just like Ghostbusters, when Hollywood is trying to dust off an old franchise that everyone is over, they pull out the guilt card. They try to guilt you into seeing a film by calling you terrible, terrible things, then saying, if you aren't the horrible thing I claim you to be, give me your money. We did cover this on the most recent WCBS podcast, which you can find here on this channel or anywhere podcasts are found. But I wanted to go a little deeper into this topic because I've been thinking about just how frustrating this failed guilt tactic has become. I also wanted to cover it because today is officially Comic-Con 2019 and there will be a Terminator Dark Fate panel, and based on this poll from IGN, you can see how excited the fandom is. To catch you up to speed, here's what Tim Miller, former Deadpool director and current social a-hole, said in regards to Terminator Dark Fate. Just like how Kyle Reese came to the past to protect Sarah Connor in The Terminator, Danny Ramos will be aided by a visitor from the future in Terminator Dark Fate. Mackenzie Davis is Grace, who is a human-machine hybrid. Dark Fate director Tim Miller is confident that many folks will respond positively to Grace, but he wasn't afraid to drop a few F-bombs directed at the people who dislike her for purely sexist reasons. If you're at all enlightened, she'll play like gangbusters. If you're a closet misogynist, she'll scare the fuck out of you. Because she's tough and strong, but very feminine. We did not trade certain gender traits for others. She's just very strong, and it frightens some dudes. You can see online the response to some of the early shit that's out there. Trolls on the internet. I don't give a fuck. Clearly, Tim, you do. Tim Miller's response was partially referring to the backlash a Terminator Dark Fate poster received earlier this year with Mackenzie Davis and her co-stars being called feminazis. It's one thing to see Dark Fate and walk around not liking Grace for characterization or plot issues, but for the people out there who are already bashing her because she's a woman and occupies the protector role that traditionally belongs to men, Miller is not having it. I think it's safe to say that people are bashing this film early because it looks stupid and pointless, and that's where the Ghostbusters 2016 comparison begins. 2016 was an interesting year. Back then, we were already accustomed to the video game journalists and comic book creators calling us everything shy of a slur. But Ghostbusters 2016, with Paul Feig and the rest of his dim-witted crew, it was all new. They used everything from fragile masculinity to is your childhood ruined? And laughed at anyone who didn't blindly accept the film. That's the problem we have with Terminator already. Like it, or you're trash. Thankfully, the outcome was just. The film failed to catch on. The series has been retroactively rebooted, and this film is now part of the $5 bin at Walmart. Last time I checked, the new 35th anniversary of the original Ghostbusters was a big deal that commanded a premium price, and merchandise from the original film is still sought after. That ruined childhood is worth a lot of money. Actors should stick to their poorly scripted lines instead of going into business for themselves. Just ask Disney. They can't give away Snoke figures. More on that real soon. But pay attention to the lines of people waiting for the next Boba Fett or Luke Skywalker. Terminator falls into the same category as Star Wars and Ghostbusters, genre films that have massive crossover appeal. Terminator was released in 1984, just as VCRs, aka the thing that plays VHS, or as we called them back then, tapes, technology took off. It was a film people watched constantly and became part of the culture. When the sequel came out, it was one of the most expensive films ever, but the payoff was huge. When we look back at the performance of Terminator films, nothing even comes close to the impact of T2. It was, and still remains to this day, the gold standard of the Terminator franchise. I find it odd that this is how you lead off the campaign for your new film, using this tactic from 2016 that failed miserably, calling fans sexist and looking for virtue points. What we all realize, yet Hollywood refuses to acknowledge, is that Terminator is and will always be an Arnold Schwarzenegger franchise, not Linda Hamilton's. Terminator isn't the story of strong women, it's the story of killer robots and time travel, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is the star. There's no doubt about it. Online communities try to elevate Terminator to something that it's not, and when Hollywood buys into this fallacy, it fails. Let me just say it bluntly. Terminator is nearly a dead franchise. Like Alien and Predator, studios, or Fox in this case, are always seeking to milk the franchise for more money. But the reality is, those franchises have peaked decades ago. They all live in limbo. The most successful part of their existence is their viability on store shelves. They put merchandise in retro boxes to sell to guys my age who grew up with Terminator 2 or Kenner's Alien and Predator lines. They get re-releases and anniversary screenings, but new chapters in their stories fall on deaf ears and fail to break the bank. No matter what they try to do with Terminator, they have never been able to achieve anything even close to Terminator 2. Again, this is why I find it so odd to use the sexist troll tactic right out of the gate. It's like the people with blue hair. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage. Terminator Dark Fate doesn't have the luxury of relevance in today's landscape. It's not a Marvel film that's guaranteed to be successful. It, just like Ghostbusters, is vulnerable to a bad film because the last great one was 28 years ago. Terminator Genisys ruined the timeline, and this film is just pissing on the corpse of Terminator. Comic-Con is going to be very interesting. We'll see if they're going to double down on the garbage or if they're going to let the film speak for itself. No matter the outcome, Hollywood's lack of originality is to blame for whatever fate has in store for the new Terminator. Hollywood likes to hide behind bad movies by using the gender card, but it's played out. It's like in Hot Fuzz when the police transfer Nicholas Angel because he made them all look bad for being a super cop. The cop who can't be stopped. Except here, we get the blame for uninspired pieces of crap failing to hit it big at the box office. Time has proven one thing. No matter the budget, no matter the intention, no matter how much Linda Hamilton, the Terminator franchise has seen its day, and fans won't be back. So I just wanted to get this video out there before Comic-Con because we know how they wanted to market and sell you Terminator beforehand, and now, after this new trailer, we'll see if they change the story. Hollywood knows that Terminator isn't what it used to be. That's the problem with Terminator. Inherently, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's property, and he's a killer robot that comes back from the future to protect the past. Well, unlike the robot, Arnold Schwarzenegger ages, and you really have to figure a way to write that into the story. Terminator Genisys did that very, very poorly. And now people are saying, well, Jeff, Terminator Dark Fate has James Cameron attached. Yeah, well, Terminator Genisys had Jim Cameron's approval. There was that weird video that came out, and you saw the film, or maybe you didn't see the film because it really was not a hit here in America, which, that's good. I saw it because my aunt wanted to go to a movie, and that was one of the few things she recognized, so we saw Terminator Genisys, and that's all I can really say about that. It was not a great film. You know, Terminator 2 is the gold standard. Terminator 1 is a damn fine film. We can actually have a very interesting debate about what's better, Terminator 1 or Terminator 2, and I'd love to have that down in the comments below and give me your reasoning for it. But at least for me personally, T2 is not only the greatest Terminator film, it's in the top 5 greatest action films of all time. It lives on the same street as Die Hard and Lethal Weapon 2. So, I want to know what you guys think about this Tim Miller situation. Did you roll your eyes when you read sexist trolls again in this post-Last Jedi world? I mean, Star Wars has been trying it for years and it's not working. We are just a few short months away from the next Star Wars film, and guess what? No one cares. The world has moved on. You give us a bad product, you attack us consistently, and I think people are just done with it. And now Terminator's trying to do the same thing. I guess that's good. Terminator needs to go away forever. Let Arnold Schwarzenegger ride off into the sunset. Certain characters have perfect poetic outcomes. I don't know if poetic is the right way to say it. But when you think of a certain character riding off into the sunset, you think of Indiana Jones because he literally rides off into the sunset. When they bring him back in Part 4, it just loses its effect. Same thing with Han Solo and the rest of the Star Wars cast. When they're all sitting there on Endor celebrating, and that's it, folks. That's all. They lived happily ever after. That's what some of these characters need. Not to be more realistic, not to be more grounded, not to be more gritty. And you're thinking, why are you saying this? Well, the T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, has one of the best endings in film for any character. He has a speech with John Connor about, I know now why you cry, but it's something I can never do. And then he gets lowered into the lava and gives her the thumbs up. And it is one of the coolest, surprisingly most emotional scenes of any action film. And that's it. That's all she wrote, folks. For over 10 years, that's all we had. And that was the perfect way to close out Terminator. It's not about can you, it's should you. And that's what they should think about with all these franchises. Yeah, you can milk them, but should you milk them? Sometimes the film property that has less films but more respect in the long run will have bigger impact. I'm reminded of Back to the Future in this regard. We've reached a point where we're just milking nostalgia incessantly. I mean, we're almost 30 years removed from 1990. Now's when we'll start milking 90s nostalgia. Expect a Matrix remake. I'm trying to think of some exclusively 90s films, because a lot of 90s films were in response to that decade. Like a lot of the 80s films that they can't remake. But some of the bigger 90s films, like if they ever try to remake Heat, I will lose my shit. Heat is nearly perfect. You try to remake that, just get out forever. But Hollywood has the audacity to do some bullshit like that. I mean, if you need a Heat remake, just watch The Dark Knight. It's close enough, and they're both damn fine films. High marks out of 10, maybe 9s or 10s out of 10. I don't know. But what I'm trying to get at in a roundabout way is Back to the Future did it perfectly. You do not need to make more films. You just need to market the film, re-release it, put out some merchandise, do fan events. People would pay through the nose to go meet Arnold Schwarzenegger at a convention. And you think, well, Arnold would never do that. That's beneath him. Is it, though? He shows up at his weightlifting contest every year, and Sylvester Stallone, an actor equally big, has done conventions. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's really, really easy to keep a franchise alive for long periods of time, because it's already living in the fans' hearts. So instead of belittling them by saying terrible things or bastardizing the franchise, maybe you should take the long game approach. And then maybe when that generation dies out, you can try to remake it if you're that greedy. I still don't think you should, but Hollywood would never listen to a guy like me because I just make too much damn sense. So folks, that is it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'd like to welcome all the new subscribers. We've had a huge upsurge in subscribers. YouTube must be fixed. So if you're new to the channel, welcome, and thank you very much for spending your time here with World Class Bullshitters. Also, if you're new, go back and check out our back catalog of content. We have close to 800 videos at this point, and they're all kicking ass. This has been a fantastic year for WCBS. We started off strong, and we're getting stronger every single day. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and share it all over social media. We rely on you to help spread the word at times. If you're a super fan of this channel and you've been here a while, join our Patreon page. $1 a month goes a long way, but $5, which is only 17 cents a day, goes even further. We give you access to all kinds of exclusive digital content, such as a bonus podcast each and every week, as well as other perks that get better as you go higher in the tiers. You can get t-shirts, you can be on the show, you can recommend topics. All you gotta do is contact us over on Patreon. But if that's not for you, that's completely fine. We're expanding to Subscribestar and every other platform available to crowdfund WCBS as we continue to grow and take over the world of entertainment. We're like a benevolent Disney, except, well, we're nothing like Disney. I'm sorry I even said that. I should cut this out, but I won't. So folks, that's it for today. Again, thank you very much for watching. And I always ask one thing of you at the end of each one of these videos. And I'm going to continue to ask it because I believe in it. And if you're new and you've never heard of us, what is it? What do you want to know? What do I want you to do? Well, I'm going to make you wait. All right, you've waited long enough. That one thing I ask of you is to go out into the world and be excellent to each other.